This is Arab Talk on KPOO 89.5 FM in San Francisco. This is Arab Talk with Jess and Jamal. I'm Jess Hannam.
And I'm Jamal Dejani.
Jamal, there's so much going on right now. We have a great show. But before we get to that, you had a really great interview with Faisal Saleh, the founder of the Palestine Museum in the United States. He recently returned from Rome. He attended an exhibit of called "From Palestine with Art" from at the prestigious Academy of Fine Arts in Rome, and also this was a follow-up to his groundbreaking collateral event at the 59th Biennale, which is a really, really big deal in Venice. So it's a fantastic interview. We're going to talk about art and Palestine.
That's right, Jess. And of course, we have to say that now the Palestine Museum US is in preparation to have yet another exhibit in Venice again in an architectural event hosted by the European Cultural Center. It's called From Palestine, Our Past, Our Future. Let's watch the interview. The Palestine Museum US was founded in 2018 with the mission of preserving Palestinian history and culture, in addition to telling the Palestinian story through the arts. In 2022, it ushered Palestinian art and culture to the international stage in a groundbreaking collateral event at the 59th La Biennale di Venezia, considered the most prestigious international art event. The exhibit, From Palestine with Art, exceeded expectations with more than 150,000 visitors to the exhibit. When the exhibit ended, there were more than 9 1,000-page guest books filled with heartfelt comments of praise for the exhibit and support for the Palestinian people. In 2023, Palestine will be in Venice again in an architectural event hosted by the European Cultural Center, in an exhibit From Palestine, Our Past, Our Future. Joining us on Arab Talk this week is Faisal Saleh. Faisal is the founder of the Palestine Museum US. He has recently returned from Rome, where he attended a follow-up exhibit of From Palestine with Art at the prestigious Academy of Fine Arts of Rome. Faisal, welcome again to Arab Talk.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You were last here just before the opening of From Palestine with Art last year. Tell us about the highlights and notable events throughout the exhibit. How was it received?
The exhibit was very well received. We kicked off the exhibit with an opening ceremony event that included music concerts by Palestinian musicians there that was very well attended, both by Palestinians, Italians, as well as international visitors to the Biennale. Throughout the 7-month period of the exhibit, attendance was very significant on a daily basis. Anytime you go and you stand for 15-20 minutes, you see 30 or 40 people come. I've never been there where I didn't see a stream of people coming. So it was an unprecedented thing for us to see that many visitors coming in to see an event. And it's also a byproduct of the Biennale. It attracts a huge number of visitors from around the world. There were a number of interesting people that stopped by the exhibits, and we had volunteers on the ground there who would meet these interesting people and give them individual tours. And some of those spoke Arabic also, in addition to Italian, and they were able to meet with Arab visitors who did not speak English necessarily or Italian. A significant number of visits were arranged by for university students and school students to come and visit the exhibit and hear explanation of all the Palestinian symbols and the whole Palestinian concept and the Palestinian narrative. And that was a great opportunity to educate not the Italian people through the school children and students of the universities, in addition to the adults, about the Palestinian issues. It was also interesting to see a number of publications that publish articles about the exhibit, including some of the local newspapers and magazines, as well as some of the Arab publications like the New Arab publication and the the Abu Dhabi publication. There is a like an English publication in Abu Dhabi. It's called The National. They ran a significant story about the exhibit. So overall, we were able to take Palestine to the summit of the art world, and to get information out about Palestine through the artistic work of Palestinian artists, which is a very effective way of communicating your story to the world.
Were you able to track where do the majority of the attendees at the Biennale come from? I mean, do you have an idea? Are they mostly Europeans, or what are the numbers like?
It's difficult to have exact numbers because the exhibit was admissions free admissions, so that people did not have to buy tickets; they just walked in. But what we have to track is the guest books, the 9 guest books that we have. They tell us that people came from every corner of the earth. So we have people from the Arab countries, we have people throughout Europe, and the number of non-Arab, non-Palestinians was significantly larger than the numbers of Palestinian Arab type visitors, which we were very happy about that, so that we're not, preaching to the choir, if you will. It is an accomplishment that we were able to reach these audiences. Now, if you think of the audience, we basically had 3 audiences. The first audience are people from the Arab countries, like from Egypt and Iraq and Algeria and Morocco and the Emirates, and then we had the Palestinians, and for the Palestinians, walking into the museum was such a very emotional experience. Now, I've seen people cry as they walked in. It was something to be really seen there. There was a sign at the door of the building that says "From Palestine with Art," and people, when they saw that, they could not believe that they're seeing that sign in a street in a European city, and then they just see the sign and walked into the building to see the exhibit. And we had Palestinian music playing throughout the exhibit hours, so it was quite a scene. And then the third audience was the non-Palestinian, non-Arab audience, who were very curious as to what is this Palestinian art is all about. And they were very surprised. They expected to come and see doom and gloom in the room. Instead, they saw very bright colors and very up, atmosphere. And then they were very impressed by the fact that our artists, despite the conditions they live on and all the struggle they're going through, they're still able to dream and be optimistic about the future, as expressed throughout the colors and the works that we exhibited.
I mean, this sounds to me a pleasant surprise or unexpected. Were there any other unexpected or pleasant surprises that you discovered?
Try to think is a little difficult. I mean, what surprised us also is the number of Italian people who were so keen on helping us and supporting us. I mean, to have volunteers that come and spend the whole day on Saturday and the whole day on Sunday, meeting with hordes of people and giving them tours is really heartwarming. And just like, what happened at the World Cup, we discovered that Palestine is so popular among the Arab masses, and that was a big surprise. And we also found a big surprise how much support that Palestine had in among Italians and Europeans and the people around the world. So I would put it in the same category as the World Cup, but maybe not with the same kind of media exposure the World Cup had, but the same thing, to see people from Morocco writing us poems about Palestine. It was quite interesting, and people from Algeria and from China and from Vietnam and from Australia, from all over the place.
So you felt at home, really, which is nice. I mean, that to have the host country so welcoming, and I know also Italians appreciate art. I mean, that's something,
of course,
very, very nice about that. Tell us about the follow-up 3-week exhibit you recently returned from at the very prestigious Academy of Fine Arts in Rome, Accademia di Belle Arti di Roma.
Accademia di Belle Arti di Roma. That's the proper, difficult pronunciation. The Accademia is really this is described as the center of the world art. It is the world's center of art. It is the most prestigious art establishment in Italy and thus in the world, because Italy is the center of the world's art, as we all know. It's been around over 100 years. It attracts students from around the world. And we had some connections with some of the friends and supporters that we have who had very high connections into the academia, and they were able to secure for us an invitation to exhibit at a short notice, mind you, because a lot of these things are booked years ahead. And they secured for us a 3-week exhibit, which is quite good. And just to be there like for one day is significant enough for us. And the ceremony, we had an opening ceremony at the Accademia that far exceeded the ceremony we had in Venice. First of all, it was held in a nice auditorium, and we had 150 people, including a dozen people from ambassadors and people from the diplomatic corps in Rome that attended. And I kicked off the ceremony with an 8-minute opening remarks. And when I was preparing for my remarks, I decided that I really have to make this memorable and make it impressive to the people who were there. So I decided to read my remarks in Italian. And I only know about 16 words in Italian. So I got with some friends and I wrote the remarks in English. They translated them for me in Italian, and they kind of coached me on it for a couple of hours. And I'm a good student, so I really listened. And
so you aced it.
And so, and then I had to stand in front of 150 people and give this 8-minute talk.
Now they challenge you. They ask you questions in Italian.
Well, no, at the beginning, I said, I have decided to give my talk in Italian out of respect for the Italian culture, the Italian art, Italian people. And it's an honor for me to stand in front of you here and try to speak Italian to you. And I got a lot of clapping, and it was very well received. Let's put it this way. People were very impressed by the fact that I took the time and the effort to address them in their own language, and I thought that was
here is some connection between Palestinian speaking and Italian speaking. They're both expressive and they used a lot of hand gestures. So you didn't have a problem with that.
No, I just have a problem. There are a lot of complicated rules for how do you pronounce the syllables and the words. Luckily, they're all consistent. You know, like if there's an I after a C, it's a ch sound, and if it's a ch and an e after it, it's a k sound. And it took me a while to figure that out. But at the end, it was really very well received. And at the end of my remarks, I said something in Italian like, as our artists dream and create their wonderful colors and bright ideas, they dream about the free Palestine from the river to the sea. And then at that point, everybody stood up and clapped. And then after that, the director of the academia gave a talk after me in Italian also.
I mean, I assume with events like this, you have to have a synergy, you know, like you mentioned earlier, that just the fact that you were invited to this prestigious venue and the importance of the venue. And then I would assume also the curator was supportive of the theme of the exhibit, right? I mean,
Of course, yeah.
These all have to kind of work hand in hand. Has this raised the profile of some of the exhibiting artists? I mean, do you sense an immediate result from that?
I think so. I think you know, the artwork was published. A lot of it was published in a number of publications after the Rome exhibit, and there were a lot of inquiries about the artwork. People wanted to know who's this artist and where they're located, and we expect that some of these artists would have connections in the future, and maybe they'll come, you know, be invited to study there or participate in joint collaborative projects, or invited to residencies, art residencies, and things like that. So I think it was very beneficial to the artists, and you know, as a minimum, the artists can now put on their CV, exhibited at the Accademia di Belle Arti di Roma.
Yeah,
It's not a small thing, you know. It's a very important mention as far as one's records, if you will.
Palestine's narrative will be told again in Venice this year at an architecture-themed event hosted by the European Culture Center. From Palestine, our past, our future. What were the origins of this concept?
Well, basically, this concept came out of the fact that the Venice Biennale itself has 7 different branches to it. In addition to the art, they have architecture, they have cinema, theater, and dance. And the architectural Biennale that is done every other year in alternate years with the art Biennale. So 2023 was the architectural Biennale. Now, we applied to the architectural Biennale to do a collateral event, the same thing we did with the art. And unfortunately, our application was denied, and we think it was denied for a couple of reasons. One is they decided to only offer or approve 9 collateral events, whereas in the art there were 31 collateral events. So they narrowed the scope of the collateral events, and most of the participants in the collateral events that were selected, they were most like countries almost. There was like one was Scotland was the collateral event, another one was Hong Kong as the collateral event. So it looks like, you know, we were kind of superseded by some other priorities that the curator of that Biennale had. So, and also our theme was a bit more aggressive this time. Our theme really, the title you read doesn't really tell the whole story. It's very broad and general, but the theme is we are focusing on the 500 Palestinian villages that were depopulated and and most of them destroyed by Israel in 1948. So really the subject matter here is, what did Israel do in 1948?
So let me clarify. For our listeners and viewers, the exhibit is about displacement of Palestinians throughout history. Now, from what I gathered, there are two sections whose combined imageries show the tragedy of human expulsion that Palestinians continue to face to this day. Explain what these two sections will consist of and how they will be organized.
Okay, think of the exhibit as having two walls, two parallel walls. On one wall, we intend to show the past, and the past is, what Israel did, and not just the expulsion, but the massacres they did. And to really illustrate that, we are using a very large Palestinian map. It's about 10 meters long by 3 meters wide. And that map is going to be laid on the floor of the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall itself is 150 square meters. It's about 1,600 square feet of exhibit space, which is as big as a house, a big house almost.
Right.
And that's a very large exhibit, and it has very high ceiling. The ceilings are about 5 or 6 meters high. On one side, we will show what happened in 48, and we will show the destruction, all the bad things that happened, and we will show the impact of that. We would show, images of refugee camps, images of refugees, images of the ruins of homes and the remnants of Palestinian life that was today, it still stands in ruins. If you travel throughout the historic Palestine, you would see dozens and dozens of villages that are still there, vacant, and houses that are destroyed. You see an arch here, a wall here, a portion of a room here. You see remnants of life there. You see a stone that was on top of a well. So we will highlight that and show that, to show the extent to which the Palestinian society and Palestine life was attacked by Israel, and a good part of it was destroyed, and the hundreds of thousands of people who became refugees and still to today, 75 years after, are suffering from the impact of what Israel did in 1948, which was the culmination of a settler colonial project that is exclusive and racist in nature. Now, on the other side, we intend to show the future, and the future will be artists' imagination of what the future looks like, and see abstract paintings of bright colors. We see maybe depictions of Palestinian landscapes that look a lot different than today's landscapes, sort of full of settlements where the top of the mountains was sliced and replaced with stacks and stacks of buildings and streets and other forms of urban sprawl. And specifically also, we will show a 3D model of 4 Palestinian villages that were designed and re-envisioned by teams of Palestinian architectural students. These are the outcome of an annual competition that Dr. Salman of Sitte and his organization, Palestine Land Society, conducts each year, and gives Palestinian and Arab architectural students in their final year an opportunity to work on a number of these villages and think and re-envision what they could look like in the future under free Palestine, and a future where peace is at hand at that point. So we have both sides, the past and the future, and we have the map on the floor where the villages and the towns are going to be color-coded as to what happened to them, including where the massacres took place. So this whole thing is going to be very embarrassing for Israel. I can't think of anything else that's going to be any more embarrassing than that. We're going to show on a large TV excerpts from films and videos that talk about, you know, the Nakba and the aftermath of the Nakba. And we will also show music. And so it will show the extent of the destruction, but the Palestinian resilience and the determination to see this through into a bright future.
Well, I mean, Israel spends millions and millions of dollars trying to erase Palestinian history, art, culture, the villages you're talking about. I remember visiting the village of Lifta. I mean, you could go walk around there and see, imagine the life that was there. And in a way, through this art is bringing back the memory, aside from exposing the atrocities committed, but you're really bringing this back to life.
Yeah, we are. We want the world to know what happened. Israel, like you said, they destroyed the villages. They covered them up with invasive species of trees.
Pine trees,
called
alpine pine trees.
Yeah, parks. They basically buried the truth and changed the names of the villages as if nothing had happened.
Right.
And our job is to surface all that. You know, we want to show the ghosts that are residing in these hulks of buildings and in these ruins that still till today are sitting there vacant with nothing there except for overgrowth and cactus that's growing on those buildings. And
how's everything progressing? You've probably established somewhat of a knowledge base after the first exhibit. I mean, do you feel the biggest challenge was the Binali? That's like a big deal, and now you're on your third one on an international level. Do you feel like you're more comfortable dealing with all the challenges?
We are more comfortable in a way. And we understand the process a little better. We're able to deal with deadlines and timelines better. And some things that we've already invested effort into, for instance, like for the Venice Biennale, the Art Biennale, we created a book, a hardcover coffee table book about the exhibit. And we are going to create another book about this exhibit. And we would simply just go through the same process. We already worked with a vendor, and we just have to produce the new content and do that book. So that cuts our work quite a bit. We've retained a couple of Palestinian architects as curators, and we're working with those architects. So they're young and bright, and they're all very well credentialed. And the three of us are the team who's working on this project and try to bring it to light. And the opening ceremony is May 20th, and it's in Venice. It's a Saturday, and we will be holding a ceremony like the one we held at the Art Biennale. So we hope that people would visit in the summer there. And we're also trying to raise funds to fund the project. As you can imagine, a 150 square meter room for 6 months with all the services that go with it is not a cheap proposition here. And
how's that going? Because I noticed we didn't talk about this, and it's all, I mean, these are all challenges, and it's I know you have all the support, but I can't imagine taking a task like this comes, like the money is going to come from thin air.
No.
So how are you getting support from the community in the United States, for example?
Well, we're getting some, but we still got a long way to go. We're in conversation with other people, and we encourage people that may hear us talk about this to consider joining us in this effort. This is not an individual effort. This is a community effort. Every Palestinian stands to gain from this work that we're doing, and I'd like to see as many people stand with us with their resources as well. We appreciate the moral support and the nice the kind words, but also to do something significant with impact, you need to spend money. And unfortunately, our enemies are not short on money. And there are 77 museums in the U.S. that support Israel and promote Israel. And and we have one significant museum that's doing it for Palestine. It's we're outgunned, but we're on the right side of history, and we have a very good story to tell, and it's a compelling story, and it's a story worth standing behind and supporting.
So when people want to support your projects, they just have to go to your website, and it is
PalestineMuseum.us. And if you want to send an email, it's info@PalestineMuseum.us.
So do you have also on the website links to your upcoming exhibits? Like, for example, where people can buy tickets?
There are no tickets to buy. It's free admission.
Free, yeah. That's the crazy thing about this. I mean, you're doing this, it's all free, pretty much.
Free admissions, yes.
Yeah. Well, Faisal Saleh, this is a great project again, and we're so proud of what you're doing. I mean, my God, I'm like, wow, the Binali, and now you're moving on to bigger and bigger and more important venues, and you really put Palestinian art on the map. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for coming on Arab Talk.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And thank you to the audience, too.
That's the voice and the face of Faisal Saleh, the founder of Palestine Museum US. He recently returned from Rome, where he attended an exhibit of From Palestine with Art. He also, this is on the heels of the Biennale that he was invited to participate in Venice. There's another European cultural exhibit, From Palestine, Our Past, Our Future. Wow. Contrary to the United States, Jamal, Palestine is on the map everywhere else in the world. This is a very impressive thing that he's done.
It's very impressive. The museum is very impressive. And this new exhibit, Jess, which is has a different theme, even though, art is exhibited, but this one basically starts by, I would say, mapping Palestinian towns and villages pre-1948. Some of them exist, some of them, they have been reappropriated by Zionist settlers, but a lot of them, many of them are deserted. And so there'll be a huge map on the ground showing all these towns and villages, and of course connecting it to culture, art, history, etc. So it has a different way. In a way, it's reliving Palestine 1948 through art.
And what a momentous occasion to celebrate Palestine through art, Jamal. We're approaching the 75th commemoration of the Nakba, the catastrophe, when 800,000 plus Palestinians were forcibly removed from their homes. Close to 600 villages were depopulated, and this art exhibit is going to bring all of that to life and to say Palestine is here and it's not going anywhere. It's going to be a tremendous exhibit.
That's right.